I just got invited by Isabel to a private island from the world of Animal Crossing. They need our help to figure out how to finish all the tasks, each covering 2 areas of their new horizons. Due to the format, I'll be going into the specifics on how the tasks are completed, but what could possibly go wrong? Top 5 puzzles I did in Puzzle Potluck 4. First, we're doing some traveling. We have to fill out paperwork at the deserted island getaway package to arrive in the first place, and Nook Incorporated sure has a lot of islands in stock. Definitely appealing for those travelers, including one with a lot of journal entries discussing a travel itinerary with paintings. Not only do I have to figure out what the painting is, but also where it is visited and when. Some paintings like Guernica and the Persistence of Memory were easier to identify, but most of the identification is incredibly tough. Still, there were some nice geographical logic elements, like how the famous steel monument known for our travel direction helped me narrow down a Van Gogh painting in St. Louis. But this is no ordinary journal, as in a puzzle hunt puzzle, we need to extract a final answer phrase from that. We've talked about the identification and sorting, but there's still the indexing before the solving, and my teammates' work at Display Home provided exactly that. There are 7 rooms with a variety of appliances, either off or on, and they saw that the rooms can form a 7-segment display, where the appliance states form numbers. Now we can index a numbered letter of each entry to solve the puzzle. But what are all the tasks for? Our tasks cover 9 different areas of the island, all part of the first annual summer parade. These plans are all laid out at the bulletin board, the site of the final meta puzzle. Since the board is up right at the start, we're able to make some immediate observations, like our task locations creating a parade route or how our feeder answers naturally give things we'll need. But we can't use them in their current form. Tom Nook even said we need to complete more tasks to actually finish the puzzle, especially since we later have to do some last-second changes that I'll get to later. Still, the mechanics really tied everything together quite nicely. Now, what else should we put together? Our wooden block set has quite a lot to work with, and there's 5 different colored blocks, some with numbers and others replacing words and cryptic clues. Despite leaving us with not much to go off of at first, deducing the very last clue right from the start was incredibly satisfying. After all, cryptic clues have a definition part and a wordplay part, and one easy to spot wordplay part is first letters. These countries definitely spell tally, which is a compelling answer that relates to count. But more notably, cryptic clues have indicators to use first letters, and from there, a teammate found that the yellow and green blocks can form for common phrases like head count, which appeared in parts of the phrases from gallery. Identifying these pictures was fairly straightforward, but the pairing mechanics along the pictures and the cryptics were the real meat of the solve, putting bench press with conference call for a cryptic clue that really has a definition blending in. Now with the clues solved, we can pull 3 indices per clue and do letter shifts from the equation to form one final cryptic clue phrase. And there's more task pairings to find! It's no surprise that the big challenge of the hunt is figuring out where the tasks begin and end. Even Isabel is having trouble remembering it all, but she does know that one task begins at the airport and ends at the DIY workbench. Specifically the departures, where we need to sort out all those passengers with the boarding gates based on all those word properties. Some were easy to identify right from the start. Lima definitely hinted at NATO letters, especially since Bravados is really close to Bravo. A teammate found that Rome uses Roman numerals, especially when Hawaii Interstate conveniently uses 3 I's in a row. But some groups were incredibly tricky to figure out. It seemed like Delhi and Seoul uses homonyms, but Delhi actually uses anagrams of meets, while Seoul uses the do-re-mi solfege scale. And with all that sorted out, my teammates also found ways to extract 6 phrases that just so happened to be tools for tools. Now we get 6 different slide presentations, each from a movie character. I'm not really familiar with much of the movies, but once I figured out that this is a monologue and I can look up quotes, getting through this section was a breeze. And with all the red letters gathered, I spelled out "Your move, chief," which isn't the actual answer. Because now the next step is making our own presentations in this style. It's my first time I get to submit a creative work as part of a puzzle. I went with an official response to a marine food source, where the speaker describes his past experience, who he is, what he did, and more of who he is, and some music to boot. Basically, soloing the tools part made this a big highlight of Puzzle Potluck 4, and I really like how varied and interesting the presentation styles can be from the puzzles and the teams. Before my top pick, an honorable mention. Yup, an emergency meeting puzzle, which sounds like what you think it is. But how do we get there? Well, it looked like the story is a celebration of Animal Crossing, but only partially. Midway through the puzzles, a dead body report notification flared across my screen with a dead body of Isabelle. That gave me quite the jump scare. Suddenly, it seemed like the imposter caused the island to float up to the sky as the background started showing space rather than the sea. Then Timmy and Tommy, as well as Blathers, also died. To investigate all those deaths, we got new interactive puzzles that all culminate with the emergency meeting. The first part discusses questions based on all the tasks we did. A neat throwback that was tricky to complete even as a group, complete with some clutch saves. Then we got secrets from the villagers, which also involved digging up info from some Peter puzzles. And finally, the cross-referencing. It took a while for us to figure out, but our evidence from the investigation feeders have synonyms that match our secrets and, more notably, have the substring sus. Of course. Now we can take the corresponding letters and eject the culprit into outer space. I guess that explains the Among Us crossover in Super Monkey Ball. But there's more the Chimposter did among us. The sabotages. Based on the photo evidence, the Chimposter did a variety of changes, from letter manipulation to English-French translation. I originally thought there was one transformation per feeder, but turns out there are two, one per area. Now we get answers that fit with a list and can be placed around the board. And the final extraction is easy enough to give a perfect way to finish the parade. With an animal double crossing. When I first saw that, I thought of those pedestrian crossing signs. Turns out that double crossing meant deception and betrayal, like in all those Among Us matches that I've played. Now with all tasks complete, let's talk about my favorite. And that uses a lot of pieces. There's a few more places I haven't covered yet, like the Able sisters, best known for their clothing and accessory sales, but they also have some assorted pieces, including chess piece descriptions that turn out to be an entire logic puzzle. Some of the given information can give us a start, especially with the limited attack options for pawns and knights. But the cycle description also helps limit what can attack the queen and vice versa. Even with tricky moments, we were able to get it all on the grid. But how do we get a final answer phrase from that? We needed to look elsewhere, even stumbling upon the trails of the campsite. More cryptic clues for us, but our definition and wordplay parts are complete this time. So solving the clues was fairly straightforward. But we still need to figure out how those trails work. So that's double the extraction questions, one for the chess puzzle and one for the cryptic. Does that look like tasks that can be paired together? It took a while for us to spot it, but those trail names having similar meanings to chess pieces on top of the identically sized boards gave us a compelling reason to match the two. Now the chess pieces give us paths to follow that ultimately gave words, with a cyclical attack pattern giving us an order for the final clue phrase. The task pairing gave way for interesting mechanics that really shine in combining aspects for the final extraction. And that wraps up my 3-day experience doing Puzzle Potluck 4. Combining Animal Crossing with Among Us, two of the most iconic games of the 2020 pandemic era, made for some incredibly creative mechanics and plot twists. Special thanks to the folks at Puzzle Potluck for their presentations, and for viewers like you, thank you!